morning, everyone. I am so happy to see so many faces. Good morning. On a Friday. So we're getting ready to get started, so you guys can continue eating. Just a quick announcement. In the middle of your table, there are sign-in sheets. I see a lot of new faces, and I'm excited to learn about where you guys are working and are here from. So if you don't mind to put your name and email and what agency you are from on those. We'll get that entered into our system. So if you're not on our BSAN emailing list, I'll get you added on there. We have actually quite a big presentation today. We have 3 presenters. So the first one is Burke Recovery Court. This is run by Taylor Setzer Calvert. Did I say your last name right? She just recently got married, and I'm still learning her last name. She is the Recovery Court Coordinator, so she's going to come up here and talk to you guys a little bit about it. And I believe Lisa Wentworth, which is the peer support specialist with Burke Recovery Court, is going to speak as well. And then you guys are going to get to meet the lovely Ashley Phillips. She is a Recovery Court graduate. You can do better than that. Okay. Did it go out again? I think it's dead.
I heard you.
Well, I got a big voice anyway. I don't need a microphone. But they may. Yeah, let's see if it stays on this time. Is it on now?
Yeah.
Okay. So Taylor, I'm going to let you come up here and get started.
Good morning. So like we said, I'm the coordinator for the...
Did I get
Oh, well, you just have to listen to me. Okay, so I'm the coordinator of the program. I started in 2020, so right in the middle of COVID. And we're just going to go through today. I'm going to try to give y'all a brief summary of what we do, and then Lisa's going to come up and kind of talk about the peer support role in Recovery Court, and then our graduate Ashley is going to come up and just kind of give you a personal perspective of it. Okay, so more than 30 years ago, the first drug court opened its doors with a simple premise. Continuing to allow individuals with histories of addiction and crime to cycle through the justice system at great expense to the public, use the leverage of court to keep them engaged in treatment long enough to be successful.
No, you're good.
Okay, so who serves? So in order to be in recovery court, you have to be on probation, be considered a high-risk, high-need, non-violent offender, and we also take any H&I class felonies. So that can be drug convictions, or we have a lot of B&Es, larceny, anything H&I that has a minimum sentence of 1 year and a maximum of 2, something like that. We can't take violent or trafficking charges just because of our funding source. They have to have a substance use disorder.
Because
It just doesn't like me.
I have such a lovely second.
Okay. Well, so yeah, that's pretty much who we can accept in the program. They have to also commit to treatment and community support, and be willing to be in the program for 1 to 2 years. Referrals come through the court system, probation, task, a treatment provider, or an attorney. And this picture, I guess it tells right on my left, is a graduate from 2020 with her son and our judge, Judge Barkley. So this is our team. We have the judge on the team. He presides over the court sessions and also speaks directly to our participants, and he applauds their progress and addresses any obstacles and gives out sanctions if they need them. We have the district attorney, and they represent the community and its concerns. Probation officers that oversee their community supervision, drug screening, curfew compliance, and help them stay accountable with their probation terms and conditions, the coordinator. What I do is I am a big part of the case management. I meet with them regularly to make sure they're achieving their goals, staying on track. Also work with everybody on the team to compose a progress report that we present before court so that everyone is up to date on the participants' progress in the program. Treatment provider is also part of the team, and they provide the appropriate level of treatment. And they will report participants' progress to the team. We have a lab that does confirm drug screening, so we can see what substances are in their system or not in their system. We have a defense attorney that represents their legal rights, and then a peer support specialist who use their lived experience to help encourage and motivate participants through their recovery. And so at this time, I'm going to ask Lisa to come up and tell you a little bit more about that role. Also, this is our team on the side over here. We do a conference every year through our grant, and we've gone to Washington and Nashville so far. And we're going to Houston this year.
Good morning. My name is Lisa Wentworth. I am the peer support for Burke Recovery. I'm going to share a little bit about my story and a little bit about what I do in the recovery court. I'm a woman in long-term recovery who I have about 8 years of negative drug screens. I also recovering from addiction to methamphetamine and criminal lifestyle. At the age of 11, I drank, went to school drunk for the first time. At 16, I got prescribed narcotics, a whole bottle of Percocets for my teeth being removed. And from there, I used drugs on and off. I was a functioning addict, or thought I was. I had kids, I worked. I lived in the community as an addict, I guess. I didn't think of myself as an addict because I had a job and I had a house and I had kids. Nobody knew what was going on behind closed doors, right? At 44, for the first time in my life, I got arrested after I lost custody of my kids because my ex, who was in recovery, decided that I wasn't a good parent. So he took custody of my kids from me. I had joint custody. But again, as somebody who used drugs, I found a reason to get high. I don't have my kids, might as well do what I want. So the guy I was with had a lot of connections. We decided to start selling drugs and using methamphetamines on a daily basis. For 2 years, we sold drugs in a neighboring county, got arrested, went to jail, sat there for 6 months. Never got any treatment, any offer of treatment, and any offer of help. So now I'm a convicted felon, got out of jail. First day I got out, I got high. I went and saw my probation officer, and he said, you couldn't wait 1 day. I'm like, send me to treatment, get me help. I went and did a 90-day CRV, came out with no probation, went right back to using and selling drugs again because I didn't see no other options. I had no coping skills, no strategies, no options to me. At that time, I didn't think I did. By the grace of God, 6 months later, the feds picked me up. And I got a life sentence in my mind. It was 10 to life. I went in front of a magistrate for drug trafficking. I was lucky though. I went to federal prison and got treatment. I did 46 months. But I also sat in county jail for over a year and watched women come in and out, being traumatized and stigmatized because of their drug addictions. I saw them come into a county jail and sit there and be made fun of. The people working in the jail had no options. They didn't know what to do with these women. They would joke and say, oh, they'll be back next week. And they usually were right. Sadly enough, they were right. But it lit a fire in me, and it got me determined that when I got out, I was going to do something to help the people that were in there because they weren't getting any help. And I came out, I got my peer support certification. 5 years later, I'm working in recovery, helping people not go to jail because jail doesn't work. The return rate is 87%. It doesn't work. So we meet them where they're at. I go under a bridge if they're there and try and help them to find a way to figure out what's going on. Why did I make the choice to use drugs? Most of them have been traumatized and stigmatized their whole life. and don't know that there are options out there. There are, and we are the option. I offer hope. I say, look at me. If I did it, anybody can. That's my story. Thank you.
So this is Ashley Phillips, and I want to introduce her really fast because she is a Recovery Court graduate. I love this girl. As you can see over here, I was a part of Recovery Court for 2 years, and if I could go back, I would, but Burke Recovery unfortunately pulled out. This girl, she's going to tell you her story, but I love her so much. I just can't brag on her enough. You work for McDowell Impact now. She's a peer support specialist. She got it, you guys.
First and foremost, I'm so grateful to have this opportunity to be here and share my thoughts and experience on something that I'm very passionate about. I started using IV opiates in 2013 at the age of 19. I caught my first charge in 2015. I was lucky enough to have my felony charge dropped to misdemeanor with time served. Still chasing a high with no other options, I caught another charge 2 months later, which would give me that felony I was trying so hard to avoid. I'm put on probation, and 3 months later, I'm sent off to Black Mountain, where I'll do 3 months there. I love it, and I tell myself, this is it, I'm doing this. My 2-year-old is coming to visit me, and my family is consistent every weekend. They show up for me, loyal and love at its best. I get out and realize maybe I can't, so I'm back to the same vicious cycle. I will have lost my best friend and cousin to an overdose, go back to rehab 4 more times, go to detox 12, overdose, and leave my 2 children before I'm ready. I go in to see my probation officer. I'm completely broken, sick, and tired, defeated, hopeless, scared, and really at my worst. I see a pamphlet on the probation officer's desk, and he says, "What do you think? Burke Recovery Court." I'm thinking, man, there's absolutely no way I can pass a drug test. I'll wind up in prison. He says, "Well, I'm not really going to give you a choice. Either you go or I'm making you." So I laughed and I said, "Well, I guess there's really no other option. I guess I'll try it then, huh?" So it's 2020 and I'm taking these classes at Cognitive Connection and I'm really trying. My daughter has a seizure on May 27th, and I smoked my last cigarette that night and prayed to God and said, "Lord, please help me, or please help my baby and let her be okay, and I promise I'll do right." And to this day, May 28, 2020 is my clean date. I've went through almost a year of recovery court without one failed drug test. The things that stood out most to me were, for one, you can fail a drug test and not be punished, so that gave me incentive to go along with it. Granted, that didn't and doesn't mean fail them all, because there are consequences, and prison is one. It's giving you the freedom and choice to mess up, but realizing you don't have to use again. It's when you feel your lowest where you are shown compassion and understanding, and that is what we all as human beings need. We just want to be accepted. Recovery Court showed me just that. They showed me the tools to use and laid them out for me to grab. They showed me grace when I needed it most. Going to court, I think I can speak for most when I say that it's terrible and it's nerve-wracking and mostly traumatic. But Recovery Court will point out what you need to work on, and then always point out things you are doing to be proud of. As addicts, people tend to point out all the bad and rarely ever the good, as if it's a moral failing. We are not bad people. We just lack the self-love we so desperately need. Recovery Court showed me that I am worth it, that I am enough, that I am capable of choosing mom's story and having a happy ending. I am able to be the mom I always wanted to be. I'm able to show up for people when they need me. Burke Recovery Court became a safe place, and the people that are part of it are like family to me. I had tried everything, and Burke Recovery Court was the guidance I needed to support me on that journey, and now I'm able to help others on their journey. I will forever be grateful for Recovery Court, and I will always recommend them. Thank you for letting me.
This is a wonderful program. It's a program that's not shared enough. So I hope that one thing when you leave here today that you will recommend this program to other people. I will say that everybody pictured there, they have these individuals' best interests at heart. When they come through the door, we know what we're looking at. We know that we're going to be butting heads with these guys because they're contemplating, do I really want to get clean? Do I really want to get out of this cycle? It's very, very, very hard There's not a person standing up there that did not go into this with their whole heart. Taylor and Lisa, I love them. I worked with them. They're great. Ashley, she was one of my first peers that came through when I was there. And I remember Ashley telling me at one point in time that she was ready to work the program. I remember her telling me she didn't want that life anymore. And I remember her telling me, you watch me. I'll be a peer support specialist and I'll be in this field. And I knew when she told me there was something in her eyes that was so different, you guys, that I knew she would be one that makes it. And she just doesn't understand how many lives you do touch and how many people you do keep from going back to jail. I would like to say, in 2020, when I stepped foot in there, we had about 8 individuals in recovery court. It was really struggling. The program was kind of broken. There was no really structure to it yet, and Taylor come in and she switched that around, so thank you for doing that. Last year, I think you guys made it up to 33 clients, so that is huge growth, and I'm hoping that y'all grow more. So, thank you. Next, I'm going to introduce Tim Cook. He is from the Cognitive Connection in Hickory. He is the Adolescent Program Manager, and he's going to talk to you guys a little bit about what the COG offers, adult and adolescent services. Now, what?
Hannah wasn't finished with her presentation.
Oh, you let that, let me back up. I'm so sorry, I thought you were. So let me bring Taylor back up so she finished her presentation, because I thought that was the end. Sorry. I got all wrapped up in the emotions.
Okay, so I just wanted to give y'all some background of how court actually works, what we do while we're at court. So before court starts, every 2 weeks, we have a pre-staff meeting. So probation, everybody from the team comes together and we meet with the judge and I present the progress report that I have created for every single client that's in the program. And then we all discuss and give our opinions, our thoughts, on what each participant should get as an incentive or a sanction if they need it, if they're not in compliance. So incentives can be anything from praise from the judge, applause from the court, we ring a bell. That seems to be for some reason they love ringing the bell. We give certificates of achievement, gift cards, excuse absence from recovery court sessions, sobriety chips and medallions. We have a prize box drawing, and if you forget the prize box, they do not forgive you easily. We spin a wheel with probation dollars on it, so as long as you're compliant, you're constantly earning money off your probation fines and fees. And we also, there's 5 phases in the program, so if you're compliant, we promote you to the next after so many days, and then we have graduations too. It's not a normal court. I think people who haven't experienced it scares them a little bit because we're clapping and making noise and ringing bells, and sometimes we have whistles. It just depends on the day. So if they're not in compliance and they're really struggling, we do have to consider sanctions, and that can be anything from a speech. Sometimes we do make them do business on fentanyl. If it's a THC issue, we've had that a lot recently where they don't think THC is a drug. So we often we sanction them to that. They can increase their community service, curfew, ankle monitors, house arrest, increase in the program phase, moving to a higher level of treatment. So when they're assessed in program, they can be put in treatment anywhere from 5 days a week to 2 days a week. And that ranges from 4 hours a day to 1 hour a day, just depending on where they're at in their recovery. So sometimes we have to increase that level, and as they get the program, if they're in compliance, we decrease that to give them their own accountability. They're not focusing on us anymore, they're relying on themselves. We increase drug screens, and then if nothing is working, we do result in jail time. So just some of the benefits, I think Ashley hit on it pretty well. It's easier to hear from someone who's been there and done it than for me to just stand up here and tell you guys, but we give them accountability, motivation. We do offer financial assistance for medication-assisted treatment, is Suboxone, Vivitrol, Antabuse. That is something that's really unique to our program. Our grant offers that if they need it. We help with finding resources for housing, employment, education, child care, transportation, and we give person-centered treatment, counseling, and peer support. We had a kickball tournament last weekend. You may see some familiar faces up there. We won, so that was fun. We're trying to do fun things. It was very competitive. I thought it was touch and go there for a moment, that we may have to call it off, but it was okay, we made it up. But benefits for the community, recovery courts reduce recidivism by 58%. They serve 150,000 people nationally each year. By enrolling, we've enrolled 85 different participants in the last 4 years. So our goal was 80 for the grant. We surpassed that. Like we said, when we started, we had 7 or 8. So we didn't think, especially with COVID, we were going to hit that. So that was a big deal. And then every person in recovery court saves the community $6,000 according to NADCP. So if you do the math, that's $500,000 we've saved. So lots of benefits to this program for the community and for the participants. So right now, we have 14 participants in the following phases. We have 11 that have graduated since the start, and then we have 5 more that will be graduating by the end of this year. And we have 2, you might see Ashley up there with her daughters, and another graduate as well. So the future. In April, we submitted a grant to try to extend the program for 4 more years. We have to include some enhancements in that grant. So the following, if we get the grant, it will be increasing capacity from 80 to 100, provide funding for primary care doctor visits if they need it, funding for mental and behavioral health medications, because that's a big barrier for they need. Mental health often goes hand in hand with addiction, and if you're not treating mental health, it's hard to get them out of the cycle of addiction. Funding for housing, another big issue we have, is housing in Burke County is limited, and their jobs are limited. So that was something our advisory board really wanted to add to this grant. We are going to add a transporter, because transportation is also a big barrier to get them to and from treatment. So Lisa doesn't have to drive 1,000 miles a week. And then a community resource navigator just to help with the connection of participants to resources as they need it. Thank you, guys.
Okay, now we can move on. I just need to hit a reset button for the whole day. And where's Tim? There you are. And you didn't have anything on there, right? Okay, so I'm just going to close this down. So I'm going to introduce you again. Tim Cook, Adolescent Program Manager. He's here to talk to you about the Cognitive Connection in Hickory, the services they provide for adults and adolescents. So come on up.
Hey everyone, my name is Tim. I'm with the Cognitive Connection. I was not privy to some information that I needed a presentation, so I brought brochures and maybe some pens if you guys are really wanting some cool new pens. But I'm here just to talk about our agency, what we do, who we serve, and answer any questions that you may have about what we're doing and where we're at and how we want to do it. So we are located in Hickory, North Carolina, right off of Springs Road. We've been in operation for a little over 25 years now, so we're kind of getting the ball rolling. We kind of know what we're doing at this point. So we've been working with adolescents and adults that are looking for treatment with substance use. So we work with behavioral health. On the adolescent side, I'll kind of talk about that because it's kind of where my field is. Our location is in Conover, North Carolina. If you're familiar with Sipes Orchard Home, it's a transitional living facility in Conover. We actually have been on site at Sipes Orchard Home for close to 20 years now with our adolescent program. We do prevention and treatment for adolescents. We work with schools, any student in the area that breaks the rules for substance use on campus. They are able to be referred to us and go through a 6-week program to help them get some education. When referred to us, any adolescent can get a CCA, which is a comprehensive clinical assessment. This assessment will determine whether the student needs treatment, needs education on substance use, or maybe no treatment at all. Maybe they just were in the wrong place at the wrong place at the wrong time. With our treatment services for adolescents, we work a lot with juvenile justice. We do have a JCPC grant where we provide regular outpatient therapy. Students are mainly referred between 20 to 40 hours of substance use treatment. We work with them trying to get clean. One thing that we struggle with, and I'll talk to you a little bit more about, is that when we speak with students about substance use and how bad it is for them, they go home and it's a home environment thing. So one thing we are working on and we're getting the ball rolling on is a juvenile recovery court. So you heard a little bit about the Burke recovery court. So we also have Catawba Recovery Court in Catawba County. We also have Veterans Treatment Court. So we're looking at trying to do a juvenile recovery court that will more aim towards adolescents and families to help them kind of understand that, am I doing something wrong? Oh, okay. Oh, air. Okay. With our and then also with our adolescent program, we do have prevention services. We go around to all tobacco retailers in the county. We educate them on checking IDs, making sure that they understand that the age to buy tobacco is 21 in the United States, whether or not North Carolina wants to change that or not. We'll figure that out. We try to understand that what that means for us here, but trying to educate retailers on keeping tobacco sales down for minors. On our adult side, like I said, we are located in Conover, or Hickory for our adult locations. We provide regular outpatient, intensive outpatient, as well as our SACOT, which is a 20-hour-a-week program, which I like to explain to people. It's one step down from inpatient, or detox. Someone gets sent down, they need a lot of care. So that's 20 hours a week, 5 days a week. I try to explain to people it's a part-time job going through treatment. On site, we like to say that we serve the whole person. So not just behavioral health, not just substance use, but we do have primary care on staff as well. I would love if Dr. Meek came up at some point and explained a little bit more about that, because he knows way more than I do. But he has the knowledge about serving the clientele that we see. One new thing that we've actually implemented this past year with our Medicaid population, we have what's called managed care, where we have 3 staff that work with those that have Medicaid, trying to get them to services, whatever that may be, anything that they need help with. As long as if they sign up with this managed care, we're able to help them get to primary care doctors, dentist appointments, enrolling their children into school. Whatever help that they need, we're one step, trying to get them to whatever they need, trying to get extra services in there. We do get a lot of referrals from a lot of different places. With our assessments, we can do DWI assessments, comprehensive clinical assessments. With those assessments, either treatment can be recommended with us, another agency, or maybe no treatment at all. But we like to say we're good with partnering. We don't always say that we're the best at what we do, with everyone. Everyone has a different fit for where they need to be. So we do give every patient that we see options that best suits their needs. Am I missing anything? You guys probably know a little bit more. Yeah, go for it.
So I know that
Love to.
the Cognitive Connection at one point in time had a location here in Burke County.
Did?
And due to unforeseen circumstances, that has changed. So County is in Thomas County now,
Right.
but you serve Burke County residents.
Yes, we do have, we serve, we serve anybody. But yes, anybody, even from Burke County, we do have a small availability of even providing some type of transportation from Burke County to our location in Catawba County. Yeah, like you said,
Does that apply to the adolescent program as well, or is that for Thomas County?
that is for, Catawba County, adolescents are only for Catawba County. That's just how that grant works, those grants. And then for adult services that we can help transport to and from. Yeah. Any other questions? I do have brochures, like they're somewhere. They're pointing.
They're over there on the round table, guys.
Okay. Yeah, if you'd like to take some. Dr. Meekin, would you like to come up and talk a little bit more? Yeah.
Morning, everybody. I'm Dr. Tom Meek. I have been with Cognitive Connection for about 4 years, almost exactly 4 years, and I think I may have gotten my job as being the current medical director there by coming to this meeting. I'm pretty sure that's how it worked out. I met a certain red-haired lady who now signs my checks. Some of you may know her. Julie Walker, the CEO of our company. So she talked about networking. She's fantastic at it and has been doing it for a while.
And she did want to be here this morning.
Yeah.
She texted me and said she didn't work it in.
Have you all seen has anyone, I'm sure many have, but the Hulu show with Michael Keaton, Dope Sick, or read the book?
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty well done. It's pretty good. And so for those who haven't seen it, it's set in Appalachia. It hits home. It strikes a lot of chords. It's a show. It's overly dramatic, but for the most part, it's really well done. It makes some really key points. And kind of a spoiler if you haven't seen it, but the final scene is pretty powerful. It talks about the power of connection.
Yeah.
And so when people are in the throes of addiction, addiction is a very selfish, isolating disease where a person, their whole way of thinking is contaminated by whatever substance that is giving them a euphoric feeling. So it contaminates psychology, it contaminates the way people think. And so when you take that isolation, that separation, that addiction, and you put that into connection, it's powerful stuff. It's powerful stuff to see it. And so I've been doctored for a little bit more than 20 years, full course, full scope of primary care, but I've always done addiction medicine in some form or fashion. And the reason is personal. Family, I've lost a lot of people. I've lost a lot of family members. And it strikes home. And so to be able to help and directly contribute, and even more so to be able to see it, so someone who was potentially a menace to society or who was behaving badly because they had a contaminated mind, and see that person become a pillar of society and be in these rooms and kick butt and take names and help other humans, that's about as good as it gets.
That's right.
And I personally haven't seen that with diabetes, hypertension, hyperlipidemia as much. It's just a different dynamic. So addiction medicine is a really cool thing. Now, the vast majority of people, when they're over here and they're in isolation, separation, addiction, they're not going to the dentist. They're not getting their eyes checked. They're not going to see their primary care doctor. They don't have a primary care doctor. If they had money to pay their primary care doctor, they'd be spending it on something else. So almost everyone needs a lot. They have illnesses that are under the radar. And so we get busy in a hurry trying to take care of these folks. But again, when it gets turned around, and it's extremely rewarding. So I'm excited. I can say it without, it's real, it's sincere. It's the best job I've ever had. I love it. And this outfit, Cognitive Connection, like I said, I've been doing addiction medicine in some form or fashion for more than 20 years. It's the best place that I've seen it done, so viva la cog.
A couple things I would like to mention.
So we finished up a little earlier than usually. Usually we keep you here forever, and I apologize. So we're trying to do better about that, trying to do better. But as we talk about folks who are in recovery, who are doing well, who are making a change in their life, I'm excited that all of our Flynn guys are here today. And I'm not sure if you can hear
I'm the director of Flynn. I was a 14-year heroin and meth IV junkie, hopeless. And I found treatment, you know. I went to treatment a bunch, but I never really stuck with it, you know what I mean? And then I got down here, and these guys, I actually went through the Flynn home as a participant, and the love that they showed me was like no other, you know what I mean? My family, it's a family tradition where I come from, you know. Mrs. Basic, a trailer park boy from the trailer park, and that's just what we did, you know. And when I come down here and I seen like people actually, because I'm always, my family's scam artists, that we scam our way through life, you know. We try to find the easier, softer way. But what I didn't realize is this is the easier, softer way. You know, I have the power of choice today. I can choose to go out there and get high, or I can choose to go to work. You know, before it wasn't a choice. I had to have something every 6 hours or I was going to be sick. But when I came down here and I wholeheartedly put myself in the program, something happened, man. And then I got to say too, I got to brag on God, because when I wholeheartedly gave my life to God, that's when supernatural things started happening in my life. You know what I mean? I woke up the next morning and I can't explain it, but the green was a little bit greener. What I used to thought was attractive wasn't attractive. How I dressed, I didn't dress that way no more. How I spoke, and there was nothing I did. I just gave myself to God. But I gave myself to God 101 times. But whenever I didn't say the prayer and I prayed the prayer and I wholeheartedly gave myself to God, that's when He came in and did His business. You know what I mean? And that's when I truly seen a change in my life. You know, that's when I got the sense of peace that I need. But I would have never got to God if it wasn't for you guys showing me recovery, because I couldn't clear my mind enough to see God. You know what I mean? I was okay with being a junkie. That's how sick I was. More? Okay. I was okay with being a junkie, you know, because that's what I thought was normal in my life. But when I got down here and y'all gave me some clarity and y'all let me see what life was really about, it opened that door just enough for me to let God in. And once I let God in, the game has changed forever. You know what I mean? Now when I go on the wrong path, I get convicted. And I thank God for that, because it lets me know that I'm a child of God. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to get a church somewhere here. But I got to brag on God, man, because all the credit goes to God. But without the recovery in this town, I would have never found it. So I thank y'all for that. And this is Daryl. Daryl, do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Daryl. I'm from Raleigh originally. I was living in Boone for many years. Several years ago, Recovery Court was actually my first taste of recovery. And it took me like 2.5 years and changing counties to finally graduate. And I graduated, I think, in 21. I wasn't ready, you know, I didn't want it. But there was a part that was then kind of open. So, you know, fast forward to a month ago, and I got back into Flynn, where I was forced to go in Recovery Court. So, you know, I'm there today, and I'm very blessed and grateful that I'm there. I've been sober-bodied many times in life, never really once my own choice, whether I was doing time or in the program or in a program. And my sponsor, I have a sponsor, made a very good distinction, and he's like, you know, sober-bodied is one thing, sober-minded is another. So for today, right now, I think thanks to this program, thanks to people like Matt and people like y'all, you know, that's, we got a shot, you know, we got a shot, we got a chance, and, you know, doing time never worked for me. You know, I was 20, I think, when I went to prison, and, you know, I had a needle in my arm the day I got out, you know. I didn't learn anything. You know, went back many years later, kind of the same thing, you know, not as graphic, but still just an addict. I didn't want to change. I didn't think I needed to change. I didn't think I had a problem. You know, 40 WIs, I ain't got no problems. You know? So I'm just very, very blessed and grateful to be here today and to be clean and sober. So thank you guys, and thank you, Matt.
My good friend Gary. Gary, tell him about you.
Tell him about it.
Yeah. My name's Gary. I was born in Ashburn, North Carolina, raised in a town called Hoboken, New Jersey, right outside New York City, where I've been with my daughter. I've been on drugs since I was 12. This is the first recovery ever. I'm 61 years old today, and I'm a 45, 46-year drug user every single day. I was raised, it was a family tradition in my family to take drugs. I mean, we drove trucks back in the late 70s, 80s. We took pills to stay awake, keep us going, made our families, raise our families. I raised 3 of my own, and I married my first wife. She had 13 brothers and sisters. Well, I kept them under my wing, and I had a house full when I was coming. That's their lives there. I didn't have a lot of choice, but I'm glad I'm not saying that to complain about raising all of them, but anyways, I was glad I was there for it. But to do my job, it was demanding that I stay awake. Either that or so. That's how I got the Christian drug. It went from pills, then cocaine, then meth, and I found out with meth. You know, I've not been clean very long. April 10th, I went down, and how I went down and how I wound up here was because the meth I was smoking, and this is a very real concern in our world, that people put meth and they'll put fentanyl, mix it. And the meth and the fentanyl is, you can't tell no difference in it. I mean, you put it all together, and I've died 7 times on the job and off the job. I've been on the legal side and the illegal side. A lot of people don't know that. I drove a truck, but I also run sting operations all over the country over the years. I did that for 6 years. I lost a good friend of mine later on after that. That's where I'm at. I'm 61 years old. Today I'm in recovery. Never been in recovery before. Never sought recovery. I've been in one. The second detox was Saturday. That's the second detox I went in. For the most part, I've been stretched out most of my life, and thanks to folks like y'all and everybody putting things together in recovery and trying to reach it out and help people. I'm the type of person that I just don't want the help. Somebody stick their hand out to me, I'm going to take it away. Somebody give me that help. I was natured like that. My name's Gary Down. I appreciate your listening. Thank you.
Damien. My name is Damien, from Pennsylvania. Been out here 6 years, using the whole time. Really grateful to be at Flint Home, grateful for all the services they provide me. That's it.
At least we got Mr. Todd. Todd, tell him how to fix something.
Hey guys, I'm Todd. I'm new to Flint, but I'm not new to Flint. This is my 3rd time through. Actually, my 1st time through. I was in back. He had been sitting there for 6 weeks by himself at Flint, painting steps and just trying to keep him busy. And then 2 of us showed up and went through that program. I really didn't start drinking until I joined the Army. Got out of that and started moving around a lot. Ended up in Seattle, lived there for 28 years. Was working for Microsoft, making a ton of money, traveling the world, drinking hard, drinking heavy, working hard, working heavy. No problems, no consequences. I was leading teams of 30 engineers, making sure everybody had a plane ticket and a hotel room, and we had all the right gear. I was organized, $1 million budgets, I had it together. But I couldn't keep it together. It all fell apart. The more I got promoted, the more I got separated from my team, and I started being told, hey Todd, we need you to go to Minneapolis this afternoon to fix something tonight by myself. As the good doctor was explaining, that connection got separated. And I think that's a huge part of what happened to me, because drinking alone is way less fun and way more dangerous. And that became me drinking alone at home, my apartment in Seattle, and the addiction, the alcoholism just skyrocketed. Within 18 months, I've been drinking for 30 years, just as much, but it went from just drinking alone to being unable to walk, falling down. I called 911 on myself just to get the day off because I just couldn't get into work. I could work from home, and I did a lot, and work. I would just basically just try to stay in contact. Somebody tried to get a hold of me. Hey, how's it going? Great. You doing your thing? Yep. Okay. And I could go on like that for a while, and it just got really dangerous, and started actually making it in the hospitals. My family decided I was no longer able to stay in Seattle by myself, so they moved me out to Asheville with my sister. And I was about 54 at that point. I had been to one rehab in Washington State, and that was it. I was just talking to my dad the other day about North Carolina and their commitment to recovery. It's incredible, the difference between Washington and here. In Washington, you want to go to recovery? Sure. You got insurance? You got $10,000? No? Sorry. They don't have state tax, so they don't have the resources like North Carolina does for things like the Flint Home and all the other places, AID Act, that I've been to. And I've, in the last 3 years, have more sober time than drunk time, but I've got a lot of drunk time. And I have relapsed and relapsed and relapsed. And some people call it a slip. I've never slipped. I've thrown myself down and depended on somebody else to pick me up. And I've been a militant atheist for most of my life, and I have given up. I'm just done. I'm tired, and I have admitted finally that this is not going to happen without some sort of spiritual commitment. AA has been telling me this for years, and I'm like, can I do this? Trust me, I can do this. Well, I've proven I cannot. So, just within the last couple of days, I had a sponsor tell me that I'm no longer allowed to think. He said, he will do the thinking for me. I am able to do and feel. That is all. First year. You can't not think. So another gentleman, Chuck Mosley, who maybe some of you know, is amazing, came and told me that you cannot not think. But what you can do is ask God, and however you want to believe in God, or however you feel it, or constructed Him, to direct your thinking. All right? So as you think, you're not doing it on your own. You'll have some help. And so I said, I'm going to take suggestions, so I did that. This was the day before yesterday I did this. Got up in the morning and I prayed to God, not to some weird word or some universe or connection or the other things I've been coming out. I said, God, yes. I said, please help me and direct my thinking so that I can find this path that others have found that brings me closer to your will and therefore closer to my own well-being. And won't go into details about what happened that day, but that day, I call it Todd's Day of Miracles. It just kept happening, boom, boom. You know, things I would have called coincidences and weird, I'm willing to say there were miracles, and they happened. And they happened all day long, and they continue to happen, and being here, I'll consider one of those things, and being around you guys is a miracle for me today. And thanks for your time. Thanks.
And it's a blessing to be able to come in and see the fire in their eyes, and see the growth, like where they go. And that's priceless in my book. Let's give these guys another round of hands.
I don't know why the microphone doesn't like us today. I apologize.
there it went.
Yep, oh, it's just me. It was just me. I know all of you work in the field or in a field that's closely related to substance use. It's hard to be in recovery. Every day, it's a full-time job. Excuse me.
It's okay.
But I'm so thankful that you guys rallied together and helped these folks. I wouldn't be here. I'm a success story. This is 19 years clean. And I'm so happy to be working with everybody and see these folks make a change in their life. Because there's hope after it, though, for sure. And there's life after recovery. And not one bit of it can happen without you guys supporting us. So, if I can get myself together, I'm sorry. We're finished. But I would like to mention there are all kinds of new people here today. There are services here that have just came to the county. There are people who have things to offer. If you're looking for some connection, please feel free to network before you go. And if you have any questions, just come to one of us and we'll do our very best to help you. And I appreciate everybody for being here today, and thank you.